So the average American owns 9.4 vehicles over their entire lifetime, which coincidentally means that on average, you also have to sell those 9.4 vehicles, which means that you're going to have to figure out at some point in your life how to sell a used car. You're in luck here because I have sold multiple used cars in the past. I've traded some in, I've done private party sales, so I'm going to be able to give you a good overall idea on what options you have available to you if you're looking to sell a used car in 2021 and beyond. And to be honest with you guys, cars is something that really should be taught in high school because between buying your first car, negotiating a car deal, and selling cars, there's really a lot that goes into this stuff, and it's very important. If you screw this stuff up, it can cost you a lot of money, and so I hope that this video helps you to be more educated about how to go about selling a car if you are in that process yourself. Not to mention, there's also a lot more that's involved with selling a car than most people think. This typically means putting up a listing on Facebook Marketplace, so now you have to figure out how to take good photos. You're also going to have to handle negotiations, deal with signing over a title, so there's more to it than meets the eye, but don't worry guys, we're going to walk through everything in this video step by step. Now, just to make sure you're in the right place here guys, this is exactly what I'm going to be covering in this video. First of all, the different options you have available for how to sell your car, ranging from the easiest, which is going to get you the least amount of money, to the most difficult, which is going to get you the most amount of potential money. We're also going to cover exactly what you need to do to get ready to actually sell your car. We're going to cover crucial steps to follow to get your car ready for sale, both physically in terms of the interior and the appearance of the vehicle, both inside and out, as well as the legal things that you have to do to legally get your car ready for sale. I'm going to show you how to calculate the exact price for selling your car and what to set it at. We're going to cover the process for negotiating with potential buyers and how to spot any sketchy red flags that you want to avoid. I'm going to show you effective ways for getting your car in front of as many potential buyers as possible. And lastly, how to facilitate a fast and safe transaction, as well as what paperwork is needed. That being said, guys, I also have two other videos that you might be interested in related to cars. One of them is how to buy a car, complete step-by-step guide similar to this one. And I also just posted a video on my top 5 favorite cars to buy for $5,000 or less. So if you want to check those out at the end of this video, guys, make sure you check out the links down below or jump over to my channel page where you'll be able to find those videos. That being said, I do have a few quick disclaimers to make here, guys. Number one, I am not a financial advisor, and this is not any kind of formal financial advice. I'm going to walk you through what worked for me in terms of selling vehicles in the past, and I'm going to give you some best practices. But I always encourage you to do your own research and due diligence above and beyond what is covered in this video. Real quick, guys, I want to say a thank you to today's video sponsor, which is Mercari. Mercari is a seamless app that helps you turn your unused belongings back into cash. So if you have any unused belongings, which all of us pretty much have, Mercari allows you to simply sell it, ship it, and get cash for it. The Mercari marketplace brings sellers and buyers together through a flea market style app. But they're also doing this while offering great deals to those who are looking to purchase. So to show you how easy it is, I'm going to list something on Mercari myself. So a few weeks back, my girlfriend and I ended up buying a rock tumbler as a hobby, but we realized shortly after that meant we would have to be listening to this sound 24/7. So right now, that rock tumbler is dead money. So let me turn it back into cash with Mercari. Step number 1, download Mercari in the description below. Step number 2, create an account, which takes less than 5 minutes. Step number 3, click on the sell button at the bottom of the app.
Step number 4, simply snap a few photos and fill in the information. This includes what you're selling as well as a description of the item, and you can fill in different information about the brand and category if you choose to. The more information you provide, the easier it is for a buyer to find the listing. Step number 5, decide if you're going to pay the shipping or the buyer is going to pay the shipping, and of course, if you're looking to attract more people to your listing, then consider paying that shipping yourself. And the last and final step is to set your price and list your item. It's that easy. Mercari even gives you a smart pricing option where they'll help you set the price based on other similar items that have sold. I went ahead and used this option and I listed my rock tumbler for $29. So there you have it, guys. Thank you very much to Mercari, the selling app. Go ahead and click that link down below to download.
So your very first step in the car selling process is figuring out how you're going to sell your car, and you pretty much have 3 different options. Option number 1 is the easiest, which is a dealer trade-in. Option number 2 is medium effort, which is an instant cash offer, assuming you own your vehicle. And then number 3 is selling it yourself, again, assuming you have that clean title and you can sell it private party. Dealer trade-in is the easiest, and you're going to get the least amount of money. Instant cash offer is middle of the road, and selling it yourself is high effort, but that's where you're going to get the highest possible price for your vehicle. So let's cover a bit more information about these now. If you trade your vehicle in, you're going to get the least amount of money for it. However, if you still owe money on that car and there's a lien on it, one of the only options you have is trading in that vehicle because you don't have a clean title. If you don't have a clean title without a lien on it, it's nearly impossible to sell that car to a private party. So if you have a title with a lien, probably one of your only options in most cases is just trading that car in if you're unable to pay off that loan to get a clean title. Next up, let's talk about instant cash offers. You've probably seen signs on the side of the road that say cash for cars or anything like that. They're looking to give you an instant cash offer, and they're not going to give you the fair market value for your car, but it's going to be slightly below that. The advantage there is you don't have to go through the hassle of selling your car. But if you want to get maximum value for your vehicle, which you probably should, that's what we're going to talk about in this video, is selling it yourself. The highest effort, but the highest ROI option you have here for getting the best possible price for your car. So from this point forward, guys, we're going to be assuming that you're looking to sell your car private party, list it on a marketplace website, and sell it yourself to get the maximum value for the car. So that's what we're going to cover for the rest of this video. That being said, the very next thing we have to cover is the steps for getting ready to sell your car. The very first thing you want to do is open up that glove box and take out all the garbage and sort through your paperwork. You should also have something called the title, which should not be in your glove box because that's just very stupid and dangerous. Your title should be locked up somewhere safe. But anyway, you're going to want to put these documents together in a pile and start going through them and see what you have. This should include things like maintenance records, anything that's been done to the car, any repairs, user manuals, recalls, etc., etc. Sort this all into different piles and just become aware of what documentation you have. Vehicles with good maintenance records, especially with receipts and statements, are going to sell for a higher value rather than a vehicle that has zero maintenance records where nobody knows what's been done to that car. So if you do have any kinds of receipts or maintenance records, etc., you're going to want to organize this information because it's most likely going to boost the value that your car has. Now, if you're simply trading that car in or getting an instant cash offer, they're not really going to care about any of that paperwork for the most part. They are probably going to look at the Carfax or some type of vehicle history report to see if there's been any damage or collision. But if you're just simply trading it in, they don't usually care about maintenance because they're probably just going to bring it right to an auction anyway just to get rid of it. But again, we're assuming you're selling this car yourself, and to an individual buyer, that information is very valuable and very important. Now, one optional step you may want to follow here is purchasing a Carfax history report on your vehicle. if you're selling a car for, maybe $5,000 or $10,000 plus, especially if it's a 1 or 2 owner vehicle and it's very well maintained and you know that there's nothing on that Carfax, you may want to go ahead and buy that yourself. That way, when somebody calls you and wants to buy the car, you can literally send them a copy of that Carfax history report. And when you're able to show them that it's a good deal, the car's solid with nothing on that Carfax report, there's not going to be much wiggle room there for negotiation. So maybe you end up spending $50 on a Carfax report, but it saves you a few $100s because the buyer is unable to negotiate. And again, assuming you're selling this car private party, I'm going with the assumption that you do not owe any money on this vehicle and that you have a clean title in hand. If you owe money on this car, contact your lender and ask them about the process of selling that car. However, just be forewarned, it's going to be extremely difficult to sell a car that doesn't have a clean title private party, so you may be stuck with trading it in or potentially one of those instant cash offers if they are willing to work with you. So unfortunately, if you don't have a clean title, your hands are somewhat tied and you don't have very great options. But going forward, we're going to be assuming this car has a clean title with no lien, meaning it is saleable. So the next step after you have all of that paperwork together and sorted out, and you've made that decision on whether or not you want to go ahead and purchase a vehicle history report for a potential buyer, your very next step is to get your vehicle ready for photos. So this is going to require a couple of different steps. First of all, this should be a no-brainer, but the very first thing you need to do is get all of your personal items removed from that car. I'm talking about, umbrellas, windshield, fluid, anything that you have sitting around, kicking around in the trunk. Just get all of that out of the car. After that, I would recommend bringing it to a legitimate car wash that has full service vacuum, because those commercial vacuums are much more powerful and they're going to be able to clean that car a lot better than whatever vacuum cleaner you have at your house. So definitely well worth it to get a professional car wash and professional vacuum clean job. And if you're selling a luxury vehicle or a high-end car or something for, $20,000 plus, you may want to pay for a professional detailing and cleaning. That way that the car is in pristine condition for a potential buyer. Now, that being said, if you are selling a beater car with 200,000 miles on it, getting the car waxed and washed is not really going to do much for you, because nobody buying that car is going to care if you had a, beat up Toyota Camry waxed, because they're just buying it for a beater. So use your, common sense here. If it's a really crappy car that you're just trying to unload, you probably don't need to wash it and wax it, but you still should vacuum it and just give it a clean interior. That way it has good presentation when the potential buyer first steps into the vehicle. Also, if you're a smoker or if your kids spilled a bunch of stuff in the car and it smells bad, do your best to clean it and then pick up a cheap air freshener, and don't open it all the way to the point where that's all they smell, but have a little bit of that sticking out. Put a fresh air freshener in there. That way the first thing that they smell is not, cigarettes or some type of body odor. Now, another thing I would recommend is make sure you have an up-to-date inspection on this vehicle, because if not, that may be a red flag to a potential buyer. So if your inspection is about to expire, maybe just go get the inspection done. That way you can say, hey, this vehicle is ready to roll. It just passed inspection. Everything is good here. That's just going to be another, advantage that you have, or a selling point, is that, hey, it's all good. It's been inspected. You're good for the next 12 months. So take a peek at the inspection, see when that is due, and potentially get an inspection on that vehicle. So once you get that car washed and then you vacuum it out and you get your personal belongings out of the car, it's time to take a look at the car itself and decide if there's a good return on your investment for making any cosmetic repairs or anything like that. So for example, let's say you have a luxury vehicle that's not very old and it has a very small dent in the back. It might be worth it to bring it to a shop and have that fixed for a few $100s if the rest of the car is in pristine condition. So a lot of this cosmetic stuff comes down to the specific vehicle itself. If you're selling a beater, it really doesn't matter. But if you're selling a luxury vehicle that's not that old, it might be a good return on your investment to get those minor things fixed. That way you're selling a car in mostly pristine condition and you're going to get the best value for it. Now, if you are going to put some money into repairs for your car, be it mechanical or cosmetic, there are a few areas that I would recommend focusing on, which are common issues during the test drive. First of all, tires. Pretty much everyone knows how to spot a bald tire. So if your tires are bald, maybe slap a new pair of tires on there if it's an expensive vehicle. If it's a beater, don't worry about it. Nobody's going to care. Second of all, headlights. If your headlights are fogged, or maybe you have some lights that are out in the car, replace those light bulbs. And there's like a $20 kit at Walmart that you can buy that cleans foggy headlights. Trust me, it's really going to improve the appearance of that vehicle to a potential buyer. Another area is brakes. It's very easy to know when a car needs new brakes. So if your brakes are squeaking or making a lot of noise or grinding, get that fixed before you try to sell the car, assuming it's a higher value car. Now, another thing I want to point out here is that for most people, purchasing a vehicle is going to be an emotional decision. So you want to make sure that they fall in love with the car when they see it. So maybe you've done some things to this car that were custom to you, but they may not be a big fan of it. For example, if you have a bunch of bumper stickers all over the car, remove those bumper stickers, get a bottle of Gooby Gone or something that's going to not damage your car paint, and get all that sticky residue off of your car. If you changed out colors of lights and put in LED strips and things like that, I would honestly say you might want to remove those things, because if you're trying to sell this car to, an adult and it's full of a bunch of lights and all this stuff that a kid would want, they may not want that in their vehicle. But this is largely dependent on what type of car you're selling and for what price point. Another recommendation here is if your car has some kind of built-in GPS or built-in personalization, I would recommend resetting all of that to factory. That way they don't have any personal information in that vehicle associated with you, like your contacts or your texts or different things like that. Essentially, your goal here is to make things look as clean and as new as possible, and pretty much making it look like a brand new car that's been fully reset in terms of personalization. You don't want it to be overly customized with bumper stickers and lights, and you certainly don't want to have all of your personal information still programmed in there. And this should go without saying, but don't let somebody look at your car if it's full of your personal belongings and it's dirty. But we should be well past that at this point. So once your car looks good and it's all clean, wait for a nice sunny day and drive your car to an empty parking lot. I'm a big fan of this, guys, because it shows that you actually took the time to go take nice photos of your car. We all have, for the most part, good phones these days that have great cameras. Unless you're selling like a really high-end car, I wouldn't pay for a photographer or anything like that. But look on YouTube, look up some tips on photographing a car for sale, and then go ahead and take, 5 to 10 good photos of that car. I would also recommend including a photo of the odometer showing the mileage, a photo under the hood, a photo of a penny in the tread of the tire showing how much tread is left, a photo of the brake pads, and I would also include a photo showing the VIN or vehicle identification number. That way people can match it up if they're looking at the Carfax. So go ahead and take those photos, and then you're going to return home with your vehicle. And also, what has worked well for me in the past is actually going out and buying chalk paint from Walmart, putting the car in my front yard, and putting the price of the car on the windshield with the chalk paint, just like somebody would do at a used car lot. I kid you not, guys, I have sold 2 cars out of my driveway simply by leaving it in the front of the house and putting the price on the windshield with chalk paint. So spend the $10, and this is well worth it. And maybe grab a couple of balloons or something if you want to draw more attention to this vehicle. Now, I wouldn't solely bank on someone just driving by that car and seeing it in your driveway and deciding to buy it. So above and beyond that, once the car is all clean and ready and you have those photos, it's time to list your car for sale. But before we do that, we need to understand what you should list your car for. So let's talk about the price right now. So the very first question that you should ask yourself here is, how quickly do you need to sell the car? If you need to sell it in 3 days versus the next 2 weeks versus the next 2 months, that's going to be very different based on your pricing strategy. So if you need to sell it quick, you're going to have to list it for a quick sale at a really good price. But if you can afford to hold on to it for a little while, or maybe it's a classic car or one with a not a big market for it and it's a very specific buyer in mind, that is a situation where you could be a little bit higher on that price because you don't need the money. You can sit there, and if you have to hold on to the car for a little bit while the right buyer comes along, that's not a problem at all. So step one is understand how quickly you want to sell the car, and that's going to affect pricing. Next up, you're going to want to get the KBB or Kelley Blue Book value of your car. This is going to be completely free, and then you're just going to get that book value. The next thing you're going to want to do is take a screenshot of the KBB value of your car, because you're going to include this with your listing. This shows people that you're fully transparent, you know what the value of the car is, and you're showing them as well. When you hand people a copy of the Carfax and a copy of the KBB of that car, they're going to trust you more and know that you're not trying to pull the wool or scam them in any way. Now, there's another important factor to consider here, which is similar to real estate, and that is the comps or comparable sales. If you're selling a popular vehicle like a Honda or a Toyota, take a look at what's available for sale in your immediate area and price your car accordingly. So you're going to want to look on a couple of different sites like Craigslist, as well as Carfax, CarSoup, Auto Trader, Want Ad Digest if you're in the Northeast, and you may also want to pick up a copy of your local paper just to see what vehicles are listed in the classified sections. So for example, if you're selling a 2007 Honda Accord, and you're looking for $5,000, and you see someone selling a 2008 Honda Accord, same mileage for a lower price, well, you're going to have to price your vehicle accordingly, because people are most likely going to buy that newer car for a lower price rather than buying yours, which is older. So take a look at your comps, see what those are, and that's going to help you to set your price. You're basically going to take the KBB value of that car, then you're going to look at the comps in your area, and you want to price it just below the lesser of those two numbers. So maybe the KBB value of a car is $5,200, and you see a comparable sale of $5,000. Maybe you then put your car up for sale at $4,995 or something like that, just so it starts off with a 4 and it's going to grab someone's attention. Now, when you're setting the actual price for your vehicle, I do recommend leaving a little bit of wiggle room in there. So if you do have a price in mind for your rock bottom, or the minimum amount you would accept for that vehicle, do not put that price up on Craigslist or whatever you're using to list it unless you're looking to sell that thing in the next couple of days. Because keep in mind, most people are going to negotiate during a car buying process. They're going to want to come in there and, notice a couple of scratches and dents or something and get a few $100s off the car. This is something you should be well aware of, and so maybe you leave a little bit of padding in there where you're willing to come down $200 or $300 just to, make that buyer feel like they got a really good deal. It feels good when somebody negotiates successfully. It makes you feel like you got a win. And lastly, guys, if you're totally confused on how to price this car and you're just lost and you don't know what to do, I would recommend going back to your mechanic, especially if they've been working on that car for a number of years, and just say to them, hey, I'm trying to sell this car. Can you give me a rough idea of what I should list it for? So now at this point, you should have a general idea of what your listing price is going to be. Now it's time to create that listing. So the good news is it's pretty much easier than ever to list a car for sale. There's so many different options these days, but I would recommend starting off with just Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. There's enough people on these sites that if you're selling a decent car, you're going to get enough responses. So I would start off by listing it for free on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. It's pretty easy to list a car for sale, but I'll walk through a couple of things you may want to include in those listings. First of all, include a very detailed description. You're going to want to include a lot of information here. First of all, the mileage of the vehicle as well as the VIN number. You're also going to want to include any upgrades as well as what trim level or package or aftermarket upgrades have been done to the vehicle. Maybe you put in a subwoofer or a custom stereo, or you put you put some rims on the vehicle. All of this should be noted, as well as the cost of each of these upgrades. Also, guys, just be honest at the beginning if there's any issues with the vehicle, because they're going to test drive it at some point. They're going to find these issues. So if there's a dent in the door, don't pretend there's not a dent there, because all that's going to do is piss off your potential buyer. So be transparent about everything. If there's a check engine light on, you should probably resolve that before you sell it. But if you're selling a car with a check engine light on, be transparent and include that in your photos. Do not be dishonest. Trust me, guys. It's going to come back to bite you. Just be honest about everything with your car. The more honest and transparent you are, the more likely the buyer is to trust you. I would also note that you're going to be including a copy of the Carfax report if you decide to do that, and also include the KBB value of that car. You can just simply type that in, or you could also include a photo that you screenshotted from your KBB research. And what you're conveying here to a potential buyer is that you have nothing to hide. You're being fully transparent, and so they're not going into this with a suspicious mindset, thinking that you're trying to pull one over on them. After that, you're going to go ahead and upload those photos that you took of your car. Also, guys, quick tip here. If you are looking to sell a car and you think it might take a long time, make sure that based on the photos that you took, nobody can tell what time of year it is. So, for example, one time I was trying to sell a car myself, and I had taken photos of the car during the fall. And then I was using those same photos in my listing during the winter. So when I went to sell that car, the potential buyer said, "Hey, I noticed those photos are from before it was snowing. I assume that you've been trying to sell this car for a couple of months. What's the reason behind that?" And to be honest with you, the guy kind of caught me with my pants down, and I didn't know what to say. So just understand that people might pick up on little details in your photos, so try to avoid letting people understand, what time of year it is, because all that's going to do is give them more ammunition for negotiation. Also, don't take any photos of your registration or your address or your license or anything like that. And if you are including photos of the front or back of the car, I would personally recommend removing or blurring out the license plate for your own personal safety. In addition, you're also going to include in your listing what forms of payment you would accept, as well as when you would be available to show the car, especially if you're looking to make a quick sale. Let's say, for example, you're trying to sell a car in 48 hours. I would put right in that listing, "I am available today from this time to that time." That way people know exactly when you are available. If you're trying to sell a car over the course of 2 or 3 months, availability doesn't really matter. Now, as far as payments go here, guys, do not accept a personal check. You should only accept cash or a bank certified check. Not to mention, I recommend completing all vehicle transactions at the physical bank itself. That way you can walk right in with the buyer and get that check right from the teller, and you know it's legit. So cash or certified check, that's the only possible payments that I think you should accept, but totally up to you on that. There's a lot of scams out there involving wire transfers or personal checks, so I just would not recommend that. Cash is king, but certified check is great too. Also, in your listing, you're going to want to note that you're selling the vehicle in as-is condition. You're going to make it clear that you are not a dealership and you are not including any type of warranty or guarantee for that vehicle. I'm pretty sure there's no, in most states, if not all states, I don't believe it can come back on you if somebody buys a car and then, they drive out of your driveway and the engine blows. But if you are a dealer, there's something called the lemon law in some states, which does protect the buyer. So you just want to make that clear in your ad that you're not a dealer. There's no warranty, no guarantee, for sale in as-is condition. So now I want to talk about the actual verbiage or language of your ad, because you don't want to convey that you're desperate if you're not desperate. So let me talk about a couple of words that people use and what this typically means to the buyer. So first of all, if you include the word firm in your listing, people assume there's no room for negotiation, and that's the only price you're going to look for it. So if you are firm on your price and you're not willing to negotiate, you should put that in your listing that the price is firm, no negotiation, just to avoid any back and forth haggling. Another word, OBO, or best offer. If you are willing to negotiate, you could put that in the title or somewhere in the listing. That way people know you're willing to negotiate on the price, and that would mean that you're also looking to sell it in a shorter duration of time. However, do keep in mind that when you say OBO or best offer, you're opening the door for a lot of lowball offers. So you're probably going to get a lot of people that are just tire kickers that are trying to get your car for like a ridiculously low price. So just keep that in mind. Lastly, some people will put must sell or need gone. Don't do that. It's just not a good strategy unless you're like literally need to sell that day. All this is going to do is show people that you're desperate, and they're going to try to take advantage of you. So unless you absolutely have to, never say that you must sell the vehicle or you need it gone by today. Also, one other tip here, you might want to set up a quick throwaway email because you're going to have to sign up for a lot of different listing services, and you might get a lot of spam or scam emails as a result. So it might be worth it to make an extra Gmail or Yahoo account just for your listings. That way you don't get spammed and flooded with all kinds of useless garbage in your inbox. So at this point, your listing should be live. Maybe you also decide to take an ad out in the paper, maybe not. It totally depends on how many leads you are getting. If your phone is ringing off the hook, or you're getting a good volume of calls, you probably priced your vehicle appropriately, took good photos, and people are interested in your car. If you're not getting any phone calls, make sure your listings are actually live, and if they are, redo all of your pricing research and make sure that you're not pricing it way too high, and double check the comparable vehicle sales in your area to see what else is available for the same price. But if everything is good at this point, you're just going to wait for someone to call you who's going to seem like a serious buyer. And then at that point, if they sound serious and they want to meet you, I would now recommend meeting them at their bank. So ask them who they bank with. Tell them you're either going to accept a certified check or cash, and that you want to meet them at the bank for a inspection and a test drive. And if they agree to this, go meet them at the bank, and then we'll talk about the negotiation process now. So guys, this should be a no-brainer here, but don't show up at a stranger's house to buy or sell a car. And also, if you have a friend or a family member, take them with you, because it can be very stressful, especially if you're a young person. If you're a young person looking to sell a car and an older person tries to buy it, they may try to intimidate you and work something over on you. So if you're a younger person, don't be afraid to bring a parent or an uncle or somebody who that's older, just so that the potential buyer isn't trying to take advantage of you. But assuming they agree, go ahead and meet them at a public place, not your house, not their house. Personally, I recommend their bank, or, something like a church or a police station where most people are not going to try to commit a crime or do anything sketchy. Now, one word of caution here, guys. If the buyer doesn't seem serious and they haven't, pre-negotiated that price with you, do not let them take it for a test drive, especially if it's like an enthusiast car or a nice car. So for example, if you're selling, a BMW sports car for $30,000 and then some 20-year-old shows up for a test drive, you're under no obligation to allow them to drive that car. That's totally up to you. And you have a right to say to them, hey, I need to see proof of funds before you take my $30,000 car for a test drive. Also, understand that when they take your car for a test drive, they are doing so under your insurance. So if they crash that car on your test drive, also understand that during that test drive, that vehicle is insured under your name. So if they damage that vehicle or get into an accident, that goes on your insurance record. So you don't want to let a ton of people test drive the car. That being said, you should let them run it and do some form of test drive, even if you simply agree to take them for the ride in that car. However, if you're letting someone take a 5-minute spin around the block, that's typically fine, as long as they are a serious buyer. And maybe just, again, make sure that you see their license and that they have their license. As far as the test drive goes, I would recommend sitting in the car with them. Just tell them, look, I'm going to stay silent. I'm not going to say a word. Do whatever you got to do, but I'm going to sit in the car with you. That way you know they're not going to go speeding off or try to do anything sketchy. I've heard of a lot of horror stories in the past of people taking cars for test drives, driving them around the corner, and then taking a part out of the vehicle that person needed, bringing it back, and then saying, oh, I don't want the car. So I don't expect that happens very often, but if you're selling a nice vehicle, don't be afraid to say, hey, I'm going to sit in the car with you for this test drive just to make sure that nothing sketchy happens. Also, guys, on the topic of test drive here, I would only personally allow someone to test drive my vehicle after they inspected the outside, ran the vehicle, and we negotiated and agreed on a price. I would basically say to them, hey, you can test drive it. I'm going to be in the front seat. But first of all, I do want to agree on a price here, because if everything looks good, I don't want to have to, negotiate after you drive the car, because they need to show that, okay, they're seriously interested before they get behind the wheel of your car, and you're just running a potential risk of, something happening or the car being damaged. Like, you don't want to put up, any kind of risk here for no reason where someone could damage your car or potentially crash it if they're not a serious buyer. Also, guys, if you're worried about riding in the car with them for some reason, another option that you have is to ask them for their license and then take a photo of that license. That way you know exactly who this person is, and then if they do anything sketchy or if they crash your car or if they steal it, you can just immediately call the police and be like, hey, I know exactly who this person is. Not to mention, if you're meeting somebody at a bank, they have to show up in their own car, so it would be kind of stupid to leave their car at the scene of the crime. So again, that's why I recommend the bank or a church or a police station for this type of transaction. Just some type of very public place in plain view. So assuming that they've test driven the car, you've probably already agreed on a price, and you know that price from earlier, and you have a price in mind for that vehicle. So assuming that you've pre-negotiated, they have agreed to pay a certain price, they take it for a test drive, and they want to purchase the vehicle, here is the very next step. You're going to want to have an as-is bill of sale printed and ready to sign. There's going to be all kinds of free templates out there, and they are often different based on what state you live in. So I would just type in, the name of your state followed by vehicle bill of sale, and just use whatever template is there. Obviously, I'm in New York, so I would use a New York bill of sale for that. You're also going to want to make sure you have all of that paperwork from earlier, including maintenance records, as well as your clean title that you're going to have to sign over to the buyer. After that, basically the person is either going to go into the bank and get a bank certified check, or they're going to pull out cash. You can go in with them, or maybe you just wait outside. That's honestly totally up to you. Then you're going to count the money, and then you're going to fill out that bill of sale, and then you're going to fill out the specific instructions on the back of that title, which is going to be different based on what state that you live in. So prior to showing up to sell that car, I would recommend Googling how to sell a car in your state, just to understand what instructions you have to fill out, just to understand what instructions you have to follow on the actual title document itself. But that being said, if everything looks good, they're going to come out and hand you that bank certified check or an envelope full of cash. You're going to sign over the bill of sale. You're both going to sign that and the title. Then immediately you are going to remove your license plates from that vehicle. Now, it's very important that you do that, because even after you sign that bill of sale and you signed over that title, that vehicle is still registered and insured under your name. So you want to immediately get your plates off that car. That way the buyer has no ability to drive that car, because in most states, if they try driving a car with no license plates, they're going to get pulled over immediately. So bring some tools with you, a screwdriver or a wrench or something, whatever you're going to need to remove the plates from that car. At that point, you're going to hand them the keys, take your plates to the DMV, surrender those plates. They're going to print you out a receipt, and then you're going to take a photo of that receipt and send it to your insurance company for proof that you surrendered the plates and you're no longer driving that vehicle registered under your name. So there you have it, guys. That's pretty much your entire step-by-step process for selling a used car. I just want to stress this importance one more time. Make sure you do this in a very public place. Make sure, in my opinion, you only accept cash. And if it's very large bills, bring one of those pens with you to check for counterfeit bills. Or just take money that clearly just came right out of the bank. That way there's nothing sketchy going on. Also, as soon as you sign over that title and that bill of sale, get your license plates off that car because it's still registered and insured under your name, and you don't want to run the risk of them driving that car unregistered and uninsured during that time period. So get the plates off, get over to the DMV, surrender those plates, get your receipts, and get that immediately off your insurance record. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much the whole process here. It is a little bit of work, but this should ensure that you're able to get the maximum value for your car. And if you're willing to put in a little bit of work here, you're going to get a better bang for your buck here in terms of what someone offers you for that car. So I hope you found this video to be helpful. If you did, leave me a comment down below and make sure you drop a like as well. And if you want to be updated about any future uploads on this channel, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell for future notifications. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.